Thursday, January 4th, 2018, has now been called to order. We will have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Landry. Please stand.
Mr. Trimmy's going to do it for you.
Really?
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Our most humble and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for those that are here tonight. Thank you for all of Calcasieu Parish. Put your hand of God on us. Help us through our trials. Help us through our tribulation. Also, thank you for all that you do for us. And always lead and guide us in the right way to make a difference in the people, for the people of Calcasieu Parish, and also for the state of Louisiana. We also ask you to bless us, dear Lord, and lead us and guide us and direct us in your path. In Christ's name, amen.
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 Raise the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Abshire?
Here.
Mr. Angelopoulos?
I am what I am.
Mr. Barris?
Here.
Vice President Bray?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Farnham?
Here.
Mr. Guillory?
Here.
Mr. Landry?
Here.
Mr. Latour? Ms. Mayo?
Here.
Mr. McMillan?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mrs. Trimmy?
Here.
Mr. White?
Here.
And President Guidry.
Say that again, Miss Kathy.
President Guidry. Kevin J.
Thank you, Ms. Kathy. If there's anyone that have any cell phones or any type of pagers, we ask at this time that you would put those to silence so that we can conduct our meeting on this evening, and we all thank you for being here. At this time, we'll move on to item number 4, election of President of the Police Jury for the 2018 year. I now open the floor for nominations for President.
Make a motion for Mr. Judd Barris.
Second.
Mr. Barris has been nominated. Are there any other nominations?
Move to close nomination.
Second.
Hearing none. Mr. Barris, congratulations as this year's 2018 Calcasieu Parish Police Jury President. Let's give him a big round of applause, everybody. Why are you squeezing my hand, Judge?
Congratulations. Welcome back to our side.
Can I say something about Mr. Guidry? Mr. President?
Are we gonna, do we do that later? I think whenever they give him,
Who appointed you sheriff?
I don't know. I'm just repeating what we did last time. But you can do whatever you want, because you've been here longer, so it's up to you.
I believe we have an opportunity
But I'll
for that
wait
here,
you.
here shortly.
I'm a nice guy, Chris. You are.
Well, I keep telling everybody that.
You are. Thank you all.
I love you, boy.
Appreciate that. Item number 5, I would now open the floor for nominations for Vice President.
I move on Mr. Kevin White.
Second.
Second. Third.
I submit the name of Tony Gilbert for consideration of office of vice president.
So I have Mr. Kevin White as a nomination, and I have Mr. Tony Gilry as a nomination.
Let's close nominations.
Are
Second.
there any other nominations?
In a second.
Nominations are now closed. So having 2 nominations, Ms. Kathy, we're going to need a roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. This will be a reverse roll call vote for Mr. White or Mr. Guillory. Mr.
Call the
White?
name up.
Vote for Mr. White.
Mr. White.
Call the name up.
Mrs. Trimmy?
White. Mr. White.
Mr. Scott?
Mr. White.
Mr. McMillan?
White.
Ms. Mayo?
White.
Mr. Landry?
Mr. White.
Mr. Guillory?
Mr. Guillory.
Mr. Guidry,
Mr. Guillory.
Mr. Farnum,
Mr. White.
Mr. Collins,
Mr. Gilder.
Mr. Brain,
Mr. Guillory.
Mr. Andrupont,
Gilroy.
and Mr. Abshire.
Mr. White.
5 votes for Mr. Guillory, 8 for Mr. White. Mr. White is elected vice president.
Congratulations. Okay. Now it's time for alphabetical change. Do I get to sit here? I get to sit here. That's my seat. Awesome. Awesome. I'm back in. Next Thursday? Next Thursday I won't be here.
Kevin, don't smile so big.
I forgot we're on the TV.
Okay, I'll tell, she won't be here.
At convention,
Okay.
yeah.
T. T, Tony, we have lunch. We have lunch.
You get to hang out with me for a while,
He on it, he on
and
it.
after that, I'll take over. And I won't be here next week.
Congratulations, Mr. White. Item number 6, we'd like to present some plaques to the immediate past president and past vice president. Meet me at the, Mr. Guidry, please. Meet me in the middle. Say him on. Thank you for your service. I'm not
After the,
Just keep talking.
Don't whisper, you gotta talk out.
He's the greatest LSU football player.
Oh, yes.
No, no, no.
No. Don't act now.
I can see it.
Didn't even want that.
Now, Mr. Anderpont. Call Mr. Anderpont first.
Thank you, Jessica.
wait till after the meeting to
Mr. Andrupont.
Go ahead.
It's my turn? You know, I kid a lot, but there are times that we need to be serious, and this is one of them. And I just want to congratulate Kevin for the job that he did. He did a yeoman's job as president last year. This was his second time to be president representing this body, Calcasieu Parish, in the state of Louisiana. And Kevin, you got some big shoes to fill. Mr. Barris does, fill your shoes. And I'm not blowing smoke here, Kevin. I think you know me well enough that if I thought differently, I wouldn't say a word. But I want to congratulate you on representing this body in the manner in which you did with integrity, and I thank you for that.
I thank you, Mr. Andrupont.
Mr. McMillan.
Yeah, I'd also like to say, Mr. Guidry, you did a great job over the last year. I appreciate you serving as our president. You were always there at the functions that you had, and beyond none, the best Christmas party ever thrown by a president on this jury. That's going to be big shoes to fill, but thank you for taking your time out of your job. We are part-time elected officials and doing what you did as our Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. Great job, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Landry.
Ditto, really. I mean, we appreciate you, Kevin. I mean, you've done a great job, and no doubt from the beginning. I mean, you've done this before, so we knew what the outcome was going to be there a year ago. But also thanks to Michelle for sharing you with us, and believe me, it takes a lot of time to come down here, all those extra meetings and signing papers, and first one thing and another. You know, you kind of think, well, it won't take up that much time, but yeah, no, it does. I mean, and it really is. And really thanks to your employer as well, because I know
Very much so, Chris.
it affects your job also. So they kind of have to be on board to be able to allow you to do it. But really, Kevin, you did a great job. You get along with everybody, and you did well representing everybody regardless of whether you were on their side or not. And you really did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Mr. Scott.
Yeah, thank you, ex-President Guidry. You know, you've done a great job for us, and what everyone said here. The thing I really appreciated is this last year, we got to laugh a little. You know, for what we do, it's really a serious job, and we do have to make some big choices and big discussions, and you were always fair to anybody who stood at that podium, but overall, we had some lighthearted times where we could get back to just enjoying Calcasieu Parish and, you know, the community that's here. It's a community, they say, you know, we're a great community, a great place to live, and I think you were able to let us show a little bit of that this year, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Brame.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kevin, it was an honor to serve as your vice president. You did an outstanding job. It was kind of challenging at times trying to keep you straight on your motions and seconds, but it was good.
You did, though. You did, guys.
Yeah, but I really appreciate, you know, I saw you during Hurricane Harvey, and I know how many hours you put in and what all you went through, and that's what it takes to be a president. You represented the whole jury outstanding, and I really appreciate it. Appreciate your friendship. That means more than anything. So, but I had the honor serving as your vice president, and again, you did an outstanding job. Thank you, Kevin.
I won't forget that, Mr. Breen.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gilry.
Thank you. Kevin, you know you got all of my heart, not just part of it. And look, the day I saw you give the word, you really did take me in on everything. So, Kevin, you know, you and I, we share everything. So, thank you, Kevin. You did a great job.
I appreciate you, Mr. Gillard.
Thank you.
Mr. Farmer.
Thank you. I did see you grab that last little bit of Mr. President out of the group here, but yeah.
Thanks to Miss Kathy.
So thank you for everything you did. It was I know what you've been through. I do feel for Mr. Brame over there because I served as your vice president last time you served as president, and I know the daunting task that he had of keeping you straight. So. Yeah, thanks again for everything you did.
Les.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing him with us, and the people of Calcasieu Parish. So thanks again.
Thank you, Les.
Mr. White.
I'd like to say thank you for serving as president, Kevin. It was funny to watch you. It was quite comical at times at these meetings that you held, and we had a good time as president. And like Guy said, watching you for Hurricane Harvey, it was you did a great job at everything you did on there and represented Calcasieu Parish well as a police juror. I learned a lot from you, and I appreciate everything you've done. Teaching me along the way, mentoring me. Thank you is all I can sum
Thank
that
you,
up
Mr.
as.
White. I appreciate those kind words.
Mr. Bean.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
We erased it, I'm sorry.
You erased me?
Well,
He
it got
actually
erased.
erased me.
Excuse me, Mr. Brame.
The ink was so old, and
Miss Sandy.
Okay, Mr. Vice President, do not erase me.
it was the ink was old, and I couldn't write no more.
Hey, I love all of you. You know that. I love you too. You're not all of you?
Yeah. Looking over there.
No, I was looking at everybody, but I'm gonna look at you right in the eye. I'll tell you, I love you, okay? All right. But Kevin, we had fun this year. I mean, even though we did have boots on the ground during Harvey and all the things that this parish had to do, but you handled it with high character and grace, and you made us all look good. The way that you served the parish and acted on our behalf on things that we didn't know. We didn't even know you acted on our behalf. You go to places, I know we've been there before, those that have served, that you do things that you just do because you're supposed to do and you have to do, and you just move on. So for that and for all of the things you've always done for me, because you know I love you unconditional, and I know you love me unconditional. And from the bottom of my heart, all of these people that sit around this table understand what we carry. We carry this parish on our shoulders, and we all try to do the right thing, and you always have. So, thank you, Kevin, and I'm just proud that I'll be with you a couple more years. The Lord's willing, the creek don't rise, and the creek does rise, so if the Lord's willing, I'll be here 2 more years. But it's going to be an honor to serve with you, and for everybody else here too. But for Kevin, you did a great job.
Thank you,
And
Sam.
also, you had a great vice president.
Yes.
I have to tell
Yes,
you
I
that.
did.
You really
Yes.
did. He did good. He was your servant.
He was. And
So
I love
thank
him
you.
for that, too. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for letting me talk now, Mr. Beam.
Thank you.
I'll give him the honor to talk now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Mr. Beam.
President, I just want to briefly touch on something that Guy and Sandy alluded to, and that is Mr. Guidry's role. Not only Hurricane Harvey, there was a tropical storm Cindy before that, which we were lucky. It hit us, but it didn't hurt us. And many of you know this from having served in this role before. It's not only, as Sandy mentioned, the public face of the jury, which is extremely important to the citizens, because they look to local leaders, but he's also the head of the executive policy group. So that means all these plans and meetings, he leads these meetings with all the mayors, the sheriffs in there, school board, and decisions have to be made with some good information from in the National Weather Service, Mr. Grimion. But Kevin represented y'all very well in those meetings that Sandy's referring to. And I personally want to thank you for that, Kevin. It takes a calm personality in those events. There's a lot of nerves. And he also has the distinction of serving while Coyote Cooley became a famous name nationally during Hurricane Harvey, when the interpreter for the deaf didn't know how to sign it. And Kevin was right there, and it was a funny moment, and it cut the tension.
It was.
And I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
With that, Mr. Guidry.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been a great year, and I can't thank staff enough. Jessica is, you better love Jessica, because she will have you on time for every appointment, for every interview, for every talk session that you're gonna need. So Jessica is key. Brian, Dane, Sam, Miss Kathy, Tim, Alan, Wes, Miss Tammy, you guys made me look good. And I thank you for that. Because like some of my jurors say, sometimes it can be challenged with me, because I'm moving always in different, I just gotta keep moving. I can't, if anybody knows me, I can't stay still. So thank you guys for taking the time, and thank you guys for representing me also as a governing body. And this is probably the best jury in the state of Louisiana. You know, we go around the state and we visit different municipalities. But let me tell you something, guys. Y'all don't know how much of a class act in the state of Louisiana we are. And I contribute that to a lot of us that's sitting in these 15 chairs. And again, guys, I thank y'all, and y'all know, if y'all ever need me for anything, I'm a phone call away, especially for LSU tickets. You know I can get those.
Go Tigers.
I don't want to.
But I love y'all and thank y'all. And that was one special person mentioned from a number of you, and that's my wife, Michelle. From the 6th grade, she's still hanging in with me. And I appreciate you. And I have my 2 lovely daughters here, and my youngest is at LSU. She's in her senior year. Would y'all stand, please, so they can know the Guidry family? Those are the 3 women in my life that keep me straight. Okay? But again, thank you all, and thank Calcasieu Parish. I yield, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Guidry.
You calling him?
One other thing that I cannot forget, and that's my vice. Cannot forget that.
Put my hat
God didn't tell a lot of the stories as to him and I, but Guy and I do one thing a lot alike at the same time, and that's we attend LSU football games. And let me tell you something, you don't really know a person until you attend a football game. That's why he's my vice. And I love him too, always, Guy. Thank you, man, for your service.
Mr. McMillan.
One other special moment I left out, Kevin. I want to tell you how proud you made us. Although I didn't get to, you did. thank you for the way you honored us when President Trump came to town. And you got to meet the First Lady, and President Trump he was very proud of you. And,
He was, Al.
He said good things about you,
forgot. Thank
which
you, Al.
reflected on this entire parish. So thank you when you met the President of the United States, and a great job that you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Hal.
Thank you.
So now we go to.
With that, I would like to have another presentation with the past president and the past vice president. Please meet me up here.
Suck it in.
We don't have to say as much about you. Say as much about you.
Put my hat on, see what he said? You got it?
Well, a guy that I love and would do anything for because you've always had my back, and this is just a small token of the appreciation for what you've given to this jury for the year 2017. We love you, guy, and I'm gonna hug you, man.
Thank you.
This is God's. Love you, boy.
Okay, now I guess we roll from here. Well, I gotta do number 7, is what they told me.
I don't have anything else to say. I said it before, but I just thank the jury for supporting me as vice president. Kevin, it was an honor to work with you, and Kevin White, good luck this year. It's a job that you want to take serious and help Judd out as much as you can and just represent us well. But I enjoyed the job, and I thank everybody for y'all's support. Thank you.
Thank you, guy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
One last thing to both of you guys. I think the way we have it situated where different folks step into these roles every year, it's interesting to see the different leadership styles of all of us. And I think everybody, that gives us all an opportunity to learn from each other, because when you're in this seat, I guess I'll figure it out at some point, but I imagine it's a little bit different than sitting in one of those seats. So I appreciate and value watching, your leadership style, and some style more than others, but
Thank you, Mr. President.
best dressed, I don't know, you're gonna have that record for a long time, Kevin.
Mr. President, let me just say to Mr. White, you need to be real quiet over there. You can't make any noise or have any distraction to Mr. President. I've sat by him before and I know. Just letting you know, heads up.
Very easily distracted, correct?
With that, we'll move on to item number 7.
Move on number 7, to appoint the parish
Second.
treasurer, and that is a 2-year term. That would be Ms. Amy Buck. Did I do good? I need that. Okay, thank you. I just need a second.
Second.
Got it.
We got it.
Didn't already have it.
We got a double second.
I'll second it.
Did you actually say a name?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my screen situated. We have a motion, we have a second. What?
Learning curve, is that?
This screen is not,
Technical
screen is
difficulty.
not the same.
Same screen you had before?
No, it's not. Thank you, Mr. Abshire. Any discussion?
Mr. President.
Oh.
Mr. President.
Excuse me, motion by Ms. Trimmy, second by Ms. Scott.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Can we get you to read I know you've had some technical dip there, but can we get you to read the agenda?
Take appropriate action on the appointment of parish treasurer in accordance with LSA-RS 33:1651. We have a motion by Ms. Trimmy, a second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion carries.
Good enough? Good job. Congratulations.
Why, I can't believe this.
It's okay, just read it all.
All right, item number 8, take appropriate action on applications for liquor and beer permits.
Mr. President, we don't have any applications before you tonight. No action necessary.
Thank
Say report.
Item number 9, consideration of approving payment of all current invoices.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. McMillan, a second by Mrs. Mayo. Any discussion? Any objections? Item carries. Item number 10, consideration of approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the police jury dated December 7, 2017. Motion by Mr. Gildery, second by Mr. Abshire. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carries. Item number 11.
Move to adopt.
11.
Consideration of adopting a resolution approving the call for an election by the Board of Commissioners of Calcasieu Cameron Hospital Service District to be held on April 28, 2018, authorizing the renewal, levy, and collection of 6.95 mills on all property subject to taxation for a period of 10 years for the purpose of improving, maintaining, operating, and supporting the hospital facilities of the Hospital Service District. I have a motion by Mr. Farnum and a second by Mr. Andrepont. Any discussion?
You do have a speaker on this item,
I'm sorry.
We do have one speaker.
We do, okay.
before you vote.
So, okay, so we do have some discussion. Mr. Abear, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Randy Abear, 706 Live Oak Street, Sulphur, Louisiana. I've been up here before, and I've talked to you guys before, and I enjoy doing it again today. And I guess this is something that y'all might not be aware of, is Ms. Tremie and I both have something in common where we've been through the fight with cancer. And I happen to have all my treatments that I could have done at Calcam Hospital. And so I had an opportunity to witness the great help, the expertise, and not to mention the love and compassion that they show their patients on a daily basis. All my children have been there, and I've had the opportunity to see our money at work in the hospital, and I ask for passage of this renewal.
Thank you, Mr. Abear.
Mr. President,
Ms.
thank you
Trimble.
so much for what you said. I actually spent a little time there this week. So, and it was a wonderful experience. So, I mean, it wasn't good for me, but it was for the people that took care of me, it was wonderful. So, we are very proud of the West Calcasieu Cameron Hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm not sure if we even know or if our attorney knows when it came to be. And I'm thinking that it's a possibility. It was between 1948 and 1960 when my daddy was in the state legislature. I think he started the ball rolling on the West Calcam Hospital.
I was born in 1957, and Dr. Tony wasn't practicing yet, but all my siblings and all my kids were born at Calcam Hospital.
Absolutely.
And,
Me too.
And after 11 amputations, I'm still walking and talking and getting along pretty good, considering all I've been through.
Thank you,
So-
Mr. Abear.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I think we might be kin, actually. Yeah.
Mr. McMillan?
My grandmother's Abear.
Hey, Randy, before you got away from the podium, you can go sit down, but I just want to say thank you for what you said on behalf of the Calcam Hospital. They do a great job.
They do.
And thank you for your public service. You're always on the forefront of answering a lot of questions when people have things that are out there. You do a good job in what you do. Thank you for what you do, and I'm very proud of that hospital also. Thank you.
Thank you, Hal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. Mr. Andrepont.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to acknowledge Ms. Janie Fruget is here tonight. She's the hospital administrator and does an excellent job and has an excellent staff. And that's probably why you heard the accolades you just heard just a moment ago of the activities and the performance at West Calcam Hospital. And thank you, Janie, for what you do. It's not an easy job. I yield back, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Andrepont. And in addition to what has been said, this is very important also because of the rural health clinics. This is very important to maintain the service level that you have at the mothership, and the folks in the outlying areas, they can have the same top-notch care you know, that we have in the city. So it's huge. It's very huge. So we definitely support that. So that, we had a motion by Mr. Farnum and a second by Mr. Andrepont. Any more discussion? Any objections? Item carries. Item number 12, consideration of adopting a resolution approving issuance by Recreational District
Second.
Number 1 of Ward 3 of Calcasieu Parish, Louisiana, of not to exceed $750,000 principal amount of excess revenue certificates of indebtedness. I had a motion by Mrs. Mayo, a second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carries. Item number 13.
Move on 13.
Consideration of adopting a resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the police jury and the city of Sulphur to extend Carless Drive. I have a motion by Mr. Farnum, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Farnum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tim, where do we stand on the last little bit of property?
Mr. Farnum, we're still in the right-of-way acquisition phase. We still have a couple more parcels to acquire. We're trying to wrap up the final taking lines, so once that's confirmed, we'll finish that up.
Is there still that one piece that's going to require expropriation?
It's a possibility. Yes, sir.
No decision on that yet? Still in negotiations?
That's correct. We haven't quite got to that point, but we're getting close.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Connor, can you ballpark a time, can you give us a time frame? I mean, I don't know.
For
that there's any-
advertisement? Yes.
I don't know that there's any huge hurry because we're kind of at the mercy of the Highway 27 thing, so, or 1256, so, I mean, 19, starting
No,
at 19.
I would think that there's a possibility we could go out for advertisement before the end of the year on that. Yes, sir.
Great news. Thank you.
But it's January.
So no objections, motion carries. Item number
Move on
14.
14 all bulk.
Consideration of authorizing the parish engineer to advertise for the following projects. Item A, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2018-01. Item B, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2018-02. Item C, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2018-03. Item D, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2018-04. Item E, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2018-05. Item F, Calcasieu Parish Project number 2018-06. I had a motion by Mr. Scott and a second by Mr. Abshire. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Item number 15, consideration of adopting an ordinance
Move on
amending
15.
ordinance number 6815 to extend the deadline of the adjudicated property sale at 314 Decker Street in Ward 3. Had a motion by Mr. Collins and a second by Mr. Guillory. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item carries. Item number 16, take appropriate
Move
action
on
on bids
16.
received by the parish purchasing agent on December 19th, 2017 for the Preon Lake Park Boat Launch Extension Project. The project architect recommends that the low bid in the amount of $2,050,718.49 of Keelan Construction be accepted. I had a motion by Mr. Brame and a second by Mr. McMillan. Any discussion?
Wow, Alligator Park is complete.
Mr. Brame.
Thank you, Mr. President. Keelan Construction, are they local or where are they from? Okay, I just haven't heard of them. They are local?
They are local.
Okay, are they here?
No.
Okay, all right, got you. All right. I got your email today about the timeline on it.
Yes, sir.
So, a year?
It's a year approximately. Obviously, it can be done quicker than that. And I think also the key here is educating your constituents about the options of the boat launches, 210, Calcasieu Point.
Right, right.
Areas.
So, 210 boat launch, it's good to go, it can handle it?
Yes, sir. As you recall, last year you approved
Right.
some improvements to it, which actually made additional parking out there, so it should be able to handle that
Okay, so we're
during
gonna,
most of the weekend.
we're gonna go ahead and do both sides at one, do the whole thing at one time, not shutting half down.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Boland. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Move on 17.
Well, you need one.
I want to take over now.
We gotta vote on 60.
So do we have any objections? Hearing none, that item carries. Item number 17, consideration of adopting resolutions accepting the following projects as substantially complete.
Yeah, move on.
Item A, Alligator Park Improvements Project. Item B, 901 Lakeshore Drive Parking Garage Overlay Project. I have a motion by Mrs. Trimmy and a second by Mr. Guidry, Mr. Landry.
I just want to say something again.
Certainly.
It's already been motioned and second, right? We're
Correct.
good?
That's correct.
Thank you, staff. Thank you for our Parks Department. Thank you for Lacey and for everybody that works in that department. I haven't been out there because the gate stays locked. So I'm assuming the gate is still locked. But I do want to take a ride to go see. This has been in the making now for, well, I'm in my 26th year being on the police jury, and I've been trying to do this for 26 years. So, you see, sometimes they say, this too shall pass, and it did. So, thank you for everything, and I know that this is going to be one of the prime parks in Calcasieu Parish. We have many, but it's an outstanding place, and it's beautiful. So I want to thank our staff for the hard work, and I know that they went out there and stayed out there most of the time, and they were there every week, and they would give us updates. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to the ride out there. Do you know when they're going to unlock the door? You know? Tell me. I hate to waste
Please
time.
state your name and position with the parish, please.
Dean
Kelly, Director of Facilities. With this action, we'll take substantial completion of the project. That starts the 45-day lean period where they finish all the punch list items.
Okay.
And also during this period, we'll plan the ribbon cutting event and all those things. So all that will come out in the next few weeks of planning.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Thank you, Ms. Sandy.
That's gonna be exciting.
Do we have any objections? Hearing none, the item carries. Item 18, take appropriate action on the terms of the following members of various boards and districts. Item A, Mr. Wayne Morrow, Waterworks District Number 11 of Wards 4 and 7.
Move to appoint Mr. Don Frugier.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. McMillan to appoint Mr. Don Frugier and a second by Mr. Farnham. Any discussion? Any objection? Appointment carries. Item B, Mr. Michael Dees, Southwest Louisiana Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Move to appoint Jonathan Ringo.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Trimmy to appoint Mr. Jonathan Ringo and a second by Mr. McMillan. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, appointment carries. Item C, Mr. Anthony Zonbrecker, Calcasieu Parish Public Library System.
Move to appoint.
Second.
Reappoint.
Reappoint.
Got a motion to reappoint by Mr. Abshire and a second by Ms. Trimmy. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item carries. Item D, Ms. Laura P. Richardson.
Move to reappoint Ms. Richardson. Ah, shit.
Oh, excuse me. Staff recommends that this appointment be deferred to the committee meeting on February 22nd, 2018. Item E.
This has to be recommended by the city election.
Do we need to vote on defer?
Yeah.
Got to vote.
Oh.
Move to defer.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objection? Item carries. Deferment carries. Item E, Mr. Haley Bellard, Waterworks District Number 10 of Ward 7.
Move to reappoint.
Second.
Got a motion to reappoint by Mr. Andrew Pont and a second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item carries. Item F, Mr. Farrell Swallow, Ward 6 Fire
Move to
Protection
reappoint
District
Mr.
Number
Swallow.
1.
Second.
Got a motion to reappoint by Mr. McMillan and a second to reappoint by Ms. Trimmie. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item carries. Item G, Mr. Roger Morcantel,
Move to
Ward 6
reappoint.
Fire
Second.
Protection District Number 1. We've got a motion to reappoint by Ms. Trimmie, second by Mr. McMillan. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carries. Item H, Mr. Roland Bertrand, Ward 2 Fire Protection District Number 1.
Move to defer till the next meeting.
Second.
Got a motion to defer to the next meeting by Mr. Scott, a second by Mr. Farnum. Any discussion? Any objection?
Move to defer I, J, and K till the next meeting also. February 11th. Sounds great. Jessica said February 11th. We're gonna stick with that. January 11th. When?
You wanted a month?
No, just next meeting.
Next meeting.
Just next meeting. He'll be here.
Next meeting.
Won't check.
So, H through K defer till the next regular meeting.
We have a motion to defer items H through K to the next
Next week.
meeting, which is January 11th, 2018. Got a motion by Mr. Scott and a second by Mr. Farnum. Any discussion? Any objection? Item carries. Please note the advised items for item 19. Item
Noted.
20, consideration of going into executive session to discuss the
Second.
following lawsuits. A, Rotolo Consultants, Inc. versus Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. Item B, Oak Run LLC v. Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. We had a motion by Mr. Scott and a second by Mr. Trimmie. Any discussion? Item carries.
Mr. President, I move to receive report from legal counsel.
Okay, we have a motion to receive report from legal counsel.
Second.
Got a second by, you gotta be sitting up here. Second by Mr. Landry. Any discussion? Any objection? Hear none, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Calvin.
Good.